Welcome back to another exciting video from MindRead here on YouTube. We're super glad you could be here with us. In this video, we're going to tell you about 10 survival stories that actually happened. Can you imagine being stranded somewhere? Would you be able to cope with the elements, or perhaps in temperatures that seem impossible, or potentially scary scenarios? And what about the mental difficulties of being stranded for a long time? Sounds like a difficult thing for sure. And some of the stories you're about to hear will certainly surprise and amaze you. So stay tuned for 10 survival stories that actually happened. Number 10. At our 10th spot, we can tell you that this amazing story of survival occurred as a lost sailor story, and the circumstances are quite profound indeed. Let's see what happened to this gentleman, shall we? Jose Salvador Alvarenga has been in one of the most life-changing situations ever. In fact, this Salvadorian fisherman got lost off the coast of Costa Azul in Mexico, and the most unbelievable part is that he went missing for a whopping 438 days. Now, you've probably done the math and realized that's one non-leap year, 2 months, and 13 days, all absolutely alone and on the ocean. Can you imagine how terrifying that would be? Alvarenga let his vivid imagination help him as he was lost at sea, and he suffered from severe hydration and loneliness until he drifted to an island in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. This island, Eban Atoll, at first seemed like a hallucination until he came to his senses and swam to shore. He was picked up by locals and made a full recovery afterwards. He actually drifted a ridiculous 6,700 miles and lived to tell the tale. Number 9. At the spot number 9 in the countdown, we have this footage of a man named O'Keen, and this one is truly a mind-blowing tale. In 2013, he had woken up on the boat he worked on and was headed toward the bathroom. Hit by a sudden ocean swell, the boat was caught unaware and the tugboat capsized, falling over 100 feet below the ocean current and changing O'Keen's life forever. O'Keen remained trapped inside of the tugboat and thought he wouldn't survive. The tugboat began to fill with icy water, and O'Keen found a light source, some Coca-Cola, and a few tools only. He walked quickly to a relatively unharmed corner of the boat, an air pocket that was 4 feet in space so that he might last longer. He placed pillows and mattresses up against the door and had to fend off barracudas and sharks which entered the ship's internal cavity. After 3 whole days, he was finally found by rescue divers and made a complete recovery. Number 8. At the 8th spot in our countdown, we can tell you that this story happened to Ernie Shackleton and his expedition team. Actually, his first journey was in 1901, where he started multiple expeditions to remote places including Antarctica. Most famous for this 1914 trip though, and on a ship named Endurance, the expedition to cross Antarctica via the Atlantic Ocean was born. However, the massive ship became trapped in the ice and the crew were stuck for about 10 months. A really long time in the middle of nowhere, especially in that era. The ship sank and Shackleton and his crew made it to Elephant Island via lifeboats. Shackleton and some shipmates took a boat for over 800 miles to get help at South Georgia, and other 22 members waited on the island until their rescue, a very long time frame of 3 months later. Spot 7 goes to the story of Madeline Connolly. In 2014, she decided to embark on a car journey to Alaska for a job interview. On her first day of travel, she ventured into northern Montana National Park with her dog for a quick hike. Her family didn't hear from her, and they alerted authorities who found her car parked in a lot at the national park. The use of infrared cameras and search crews helped to find the tracks of a bear and footprints, but there was no blood or any sign of struggle. They found the bear, but no missing Madeline. The next 4 days showed no clues, and the search party was now involving friends and family. They eventually found Madeline and her dog walking, but she had gone 5 miles away from where her car was parked, and apart from being hungry and extremely tired, the dog and Madeline were fine. Thank goodness. Number 6. At the 6th spot in the countdown, we're going to tell you about Spencer Hunt. In 2017, Spencer went missing for 2 days after hiking near the Ammonite Falls in British Columbia. He was with family and friends, but went ahead of the group because of his adventurous nature and keenness. Spending the night in a small cave behind a waterfall, Spencer's family had alerted the authorities and a search party was formed. He followed the river and even saw a search helicopter that missed him completely. That night, the temperatures were below 0 degrees and he had no supplies with him. Thankfully, he was found the next day and had been suffering from dehydration and hypothermia. This young teen was exceptionally happy to be found. In fact, he would have passed away if it were any longer in that cold climate. Number 5. Here, we have this amazing footage of a survival story which is truly remarkable. A flight carrying multiple passengers crashed into a mountain. An airplane crashed into the dense Costa Rican rainforest, where a newlywed couple became tripped from their romantic holiday right into a world of sheer terror. Other passengers were also on board. The injuries were different for each of the passengers, but one survivor was thrown 200 feet from the plane. Hearing voices, he, Michael, hobbled to the other survivors who were not in great shape either. Some had broken bones and others had breathing impairments or wounds. And they were literally in the middle of nowhere, in dense, thick jungle. A few of the lesser injured survivors tried to reach help, but it was dense and they got lost after 22 hours of wandering. An army of Red Cross volunteers had been searching for 24 hours and rescued those at the crash site. The lost wanderers were also found by a local farmer who was part of the search team as well. A totally miraculous turn of events for the 5 who survived. Wow, this one is phenomenal! Number 4. At spot number 4, we're going to describe this true tale of Aron Ralston. This incredible story features in the movie called 127 Hours. While exploring the Blue John Canyon in Utah, Aron made a descent and climbed down. A boulder severely injured his left hand and moved on top of his right hand, crushing it painfully against the rock wall. Trapped with only 11 ounces of water for 5 days, Aron was in a very dire circumstance alone, unable to move. He had 2 burritos as food and tried desperately to move the boulder without any success. By day 4, he tried to amputate his own arm, but the tools he had weren't strong enough. He also had to drink his own urine and videoed a message to loved ones saying goodbye. All hope was lost. Eventually, though, he had a vision of a future child, and within the imagery, he had no arm. This was the daydream that helped him come to the conclusion of amputation. And so he did it. It was his only hope. He walked 6 miles to his family, and he was brought to safety and made a full recovery. And this takes our number 4 spot in the countdown today for 10 survival stories that actually happened. What a remarkable man. Number 3. In this part of the countdown, the 3rd spot goes to Stephen Callahan, and his story is definitely an unbelievable feat of survival. Mr. Callahan departed the Canary Islands in 1982. It was January and the start of a new year. Only a week later, his whole world was shaken. In fact, Callahan was destined to hit something big, as luck would have it, which he thought could have been a whale. He never did find out, however, and his boat was damaged and he had to get into an inflatable raft to ensure he could keep moving. He dived down and got some supplies from the sinking vessel, but then he was alone in the Atlantic Ocean. He ate all of his food, and when it was gone, he used his skills to kill birds and fish and to change seawater into drinkable water. After 76 days alone at sea, a fisherman found him and he made a full recovery. He'd traveled 2,050 miles across the sea and had dealt with loneliness, storms, and exceptional conditions. And this amazing story takes the 3rd spot in our awesome countdown, survival stories that actually happened. Wow! Number 2. Here's our best pick, and this was sent in by Janet Sardis from Albany. She wanted to remind us of that movie where the man gets lost on an island. Can you remember the actor from the film, and what's the movie's name? We'd like to invite you to tell us the actor's name, the movie title, and his best friend's name on the island. Some other clues to keep you guessing include FedEx, pilot, ball, and beach. Thanks so much for sending this amazing picture in for our awesome countdown, Janet. We know our amazing viewers will certainly love it. Imagine making that message from a beach. What would you write? Help or some other message? Here at the channel, we'd probably write our channel name so that all the pilots and ships going by would know who we are. But we'd probably write help second of all. Surely, even pilots and sailors need some entertainment. Oh yeah. So it would say, mind read, subscribe, and then help! But we're not getting lost anytime soon. We have too many videos to make. Let's keep going. It's that time again after all. Number 1. We made it, everyone! The number 1 spot is finally here. So, are you ready to discover what our top story is? It's really the most remarkable part of history ever, actually. The Titanic. We've all heard of this amazing story, and there were survivors who witnessed the horrific events as they watched the sinking ship be swallowed up by the sea on that one fateful, harrowing night. The Titanic was built between 1909 and 1911. It was 882 feet in length and 175 feet in height. The Titanic had a crew of around 900 people. Wow! From Southampton to New York, the Titanic was full of passengers who wished for something more. An iceberg was hit by the vessel and there weren't enough lifeboats. An excruciating and very sad event. In fact, after the event, the entire shipping rules were changed with regards to safety of the future passengers. Even today, this amazing story is made popular within Hollywood and museums all over the world. An amazing survival story portrayed well by the movie of the same name was a box office smash. The Titanic was built as an unsinkable ship and sank on April 15, 1912. Over 1,500 people died in the maritime disaster, while 705 individuals survived. A number of the victims and survivors were even famous people. And this takes the #1 spot in the countdown for 10 survival stories that actually happened. Wow, we sure had fun doing this video! Thanks so much for being here with us. You guys are totally the best. Come back soon, leave a comment, subscribe, and share with your favorite people. You know we miss you already, but if you tap the bell to receive notifications, you'll know when we're here again. Bye everybody! Love you! Oh, P.S. Maybe rethink that vacay you were planning, especially if it's in a boat or on land. Okay, just kidding. Bye everyone. Stay awesome.